The Student Affairs Department that I decided to research for this final paper and presentation was the Housing and Residential Education Department at the University of South Florida. The Department of Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida has evolved significantly from the start of the universities in the 1960s to today. It began simply as a department designed to house students in dorms, but is now a department dedicated to this whole student experience that aims to promote community and leadership. Currently, this university has over 6,500 residents on campus and gives these residents unique housing opportunities like faculty and residence programs and living learning communities. These experiences lean more into the residential education side of this department and provide residential curriculum as opposed to just housing. Their priorities in this department are helping students succeed by building connections, community engagement, and personal development. The leadership in the Department of Housing and Residential Education at USF is comprised of a team that oversees residential curriculum, auxiliary services, and housing operations. The department is headed by the Associate Vice President for Auxiliary Services and Strategic Contract Management and the Assistant Dean and Director of Residential Education. Under these two positions are a variety of directors and coordinators that handle operations and outreach, assignments in technology, communications and marketing, housing services, and facilities. There's also leadership within the specific residential education team. These include directors and coordinators dedicated to living learning communities, academic initiatives, recruitment and training, and residence life. The residence life coordinators are the ones that oversee the resident assistants, and those are students working directly with the on-campus residents. The budgeting for the Department of Housing and Residential Education at USF uses an auxiliary services budgeting model that is self-supported to determine their budgets. This means that the department does not rely on appropriations available from state taxes nor from tuition. This type of budget model means that the department relies on revenues that comes from things such as conference housing, facility rentals, and student room rentals. These revenues cover expenses that include things like custodial services, maintenance, utilities, internet, and staff salaries for maintenance workers, live-in staff, and resident assistants, to name a few. In the case of things like emergency repairs and necessary improvement projects, there is reserve funding available for the department to use. The Housing and Residential Education Department at USF frequently collaborates with other departments to deliver well-rounded residential education for its residents. The aim of these collaborations is to combine the residential experience with academic and personal growth and success. One of these collaborations is their faculty and residence program, where they connect a faculty member with resident students in their residence halls. The purpose of this program is to host study sessions, new programs, and to offer more frequent collaboration between faculty and students. Another collaboration common in this department is one that collaborates with student success and wellness departments. The residence life coordinators and the student resident assistants work with these departments to connect residents with campus resources, peer mentoring, and various workshops. The Housing and Residential Education Department also collaborates with student leadership through the Residence Hall Association. This collaboration gives students the opportunity to voice their own concerns on their own housing, be able to help plan residence hall events, and learn beneficial leadership skills. One strength of this department at USF is their strong living learning communities. By collaborating with other on-campus departments and resources, Housing and Residential Education are able to use these living learning communities to offer specialized housing experiences that can aid in higher rates of retention and graduation. Another strength of this department is their first-year guarantee. The first-year guarantee ensures that all students going into their first year at USF have the opportunity to live on campus if they want to. And this is a great way to ease these first-year students into their new college life without the worry of missing out on housing. One weakness of this department at USF is capacity constraints. While first-year students have guaranteed housing if they want it, many second years and upperclassmen are not able to secure on-campus housing. This is because the demand for housing on campus often exceeds the spaces available. Another weakness that this department faces is affordability and housing rate increases. As with most things right now, rates for housing continue to increase. Unfortunately, these increases are unavoidable but cause concerns in being accessible to lower income students. One opportunity that this department has is their initiatives for campus expansion, which directly address one of the weaknesses from the previous slide of capacity constraints. Construction plans and projects to expand campus housing can address the growing need for more on-campus housing inventory. This has the potential to give more upperclassmen the opportunity to grow and develop with their peers on campus. Another opportunity this department has is the potential for community building. They can work to promote engagement off campus and create initiatives that address commuter students rather than just residential students. These types of initiatives could aid in producing a campus environment that unifies both resident and non-resident students. A threat that this department faces is economic pressure. Because the department is essentially self-funded, rising operational costs could become an issue. To continue having adequate revenue, the housing costs would have to increase, but that may result in fewer students choosing to live on campus. While it would be unfortunate that the university would have to raise housing rates, they would need to ensure that staff can still be paid and maintenance can still be upkept for acceptable living experiences. Another potential threat for this department to face would be competition with off-campus housing. As mentioned previously, there may have to be rate increases. Some of the on-campus housing in the area may try to capitalize on that and offer lower rates to entice students to choose that option instead. One program initiative idea for this department to evolve and develop would be to enhance the department's goals by focusing even more on career and professional development. A way that they could do this is by partnering with career services to provide interview preparation and resources. This could look like a closet with professional attire that could be used by students for interviews, or nights in which students can engage in mock interviews with the resident assistants in their building. This type of programming could connect back to Schlossberg's transition theory that uses the 4 S's of situation, self, support, and strategies to focus on the navigation of change for students. This proposed programming could aid in both support and strategies by connecting them with the knowledge, resources, and practice they require to develop further. Another idea for a new program initiative for this department could be in relation to life skills and wellness. Many students who are living on campus are living on their own for the first time and may lack the necessary skills that they need. To address this, the department could host workshops that provide guidance and knowledge for important skills. These types of things could include budgeting, cooking and nutrition, car maintenance, and navigation of public transportation. This proposed programming could connect back to Chickering's 7 vectors. Chickering's theory focuses on the stages of development that students go through, so this programming could address the vector of the moving through autonomy through interdependence part of this by aiding the students in learning to independently take care of themselves while also functioning in society. While there weren't any specific laws or policies that connected directly to the 2 programming initiatives suggested in the previous slides, there are 2 laws that come up frequently in the realm of housing and residential education. One of these is the Fair Housing Act. This act ensures that universities are required to give students with disabilities reasonable accommodations. In any new programs or initiatives that this department could seek to create, they would need to be mindful of residents with disabilities and how the department might best support them for success. Another law necessary when working in housing and residential education is Title IX. Title IX, as we know, is incredibly important in education as a whole, and specifically to this department, it requires educational institutions to prevent and respond effectively to allegations of sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. And this directly connects to resident assistants and other staff in this department who are called mandated reporters. When working with students in events or even simply in everyday campus life, these mandated reporters must understand the responsibilities to the safety of their residents and be knowledgeable in what may be concerning behavior. And last but not least, here are my references for the information that I used to compile this presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.